Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back with our Survivor 45, episode 9 predictions and power rankings. And we are joined for the second time in podcast history by Owen Knight. Very exciting to have him from Survivor 43. Owen, love the shirt. Love that you're back.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Happy to be back. I'm great, man. Thanks for having me again. It was a fun time last time. I know we had the finale, the penultimate one. So excited to talk about more people tonight, and it's good to see y'all.
Yeah, and we've actually met now since the last podcast, so that's also good too. We all know we're all friends now for real. We like saw each other in real life. You know what? We like each other. That's okay. So here we are. Alexa and I didn't rub Owen the wrong way enough that he said no, I'm not going to.
It's the second time.
No, very, very inoffensive interaction. Don't worry. It was beautiful. Although you did decline. I think I offered to buy you a drink because I had said on the podcast, I'll buy you a drink in New York. And you said, no, I'm good. And then I was like, okay, but next time I got you.
13th.
I was
I think you were good. Yeah. I don't think you needed it. So it was very responsible.
Like, I'd love to buy you a seltzer water.
We were teetering on that line of inoffensive and oh my God, Phil's the most offensive person I've ever met. So we needed to make sure I didn't cross that. But
that's true. If you had accepted, maybe I wouldn't be here right now.
That is true. Wow. That is true.
The butterfly effect.
We're not going to throw so much shade at you right now, but I do have to throw one of your cast members under the bus right away. And it relates to this podcast. Don't worry. But we had Sammy on last week. And he decided to make this statement when ranking his 10 players. He put Kelly at number 1 and said that if she got voted out of the game, he would bet his life savings on the Arizona Cardinals to win the Super Bowl because that would mean anything crazy could happen. I mean, are you going to make any such ridiculous comment on this podcast tonight? Anything that we should be ramping up for here?
Absolutely not. I'm not as much of a gambler as Sammy is. I mean, I do got my FanDuel going, but I will not be betting on the Cardinals anytime soon. So that's bull. I mean, he's a brazen kid. I love him for it, but that youthful confidence, I wish I had more of that. You know, we were just talking before the show about how old and washed up we are, and I wish I had some of that reckless abandon that he does. But that's fantastic. I'm gonna have to text him, give him a hard time, and just be like, "Yo, send me a screenshot of that bet once you put it in."
He might not have a phone anymore because he has to, I don't know, sell it to have money. That's
true.
Back.
No Tesla, no phone. No Tesla. I don't know how exactly the pet cremation service pays, but at least he's a student right now. You know, it's not like he's got a huge amount in the bank probably, but who knows? The odds are probably really good if they pull it off somehow, you know?
Well, and
they
also,
beat the math.
He placed that bet prior to them losing to the Texans. I think they're pretty much one more loss away from almost being automatically eliminated from even playoff contention. So they're really, it's not looking good, but he did send us a picture of it. And he bet, I feel bad for him if this is actually his life savings. He bet $5.
So at least he followed through. That's
you got to do it.
You got to. I respect that. Yeah. Hopefully that wasn't his whole life savings. I imagine with his Survivor payout and all that, he's probably got a little more saved up. But I do know he got a Costco membership, so that could be sucking him dry a little bit.
Good for him. Yeah. That's the right thing to do. Don't gamble, kids, except for when Phil tells you to.
Also follow all my gambling. I write for Sportsbook Review, Betting Pros, and Fantasy Pros. So if you want to follow me on any of those, go ahead and follow because that's how I make it. So thanks, guys. But also, I mean, if his life savings is only $5, he's got bigger problems than just this bet. But it would pay out over $7,000. So
hey, there you go.
Think of the Costco hot dogs.
Exactly, that's so many.
It's a lifetime supply.
That's at least like 3,500 hot dogs. It's
nice.
Amazing.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it that way.
Phil and I are like the math behind that.
Well, they're $2, so it's really pretty easy. Thank God.
Owen still got it. This is your higher education system at its finest right here. So
there we go. That's why I got my 2 degrees, so I could do Costco hot dog math problems.
There you go. There you go. Well, Bruce is in the chat. He says, "Yo, Owen," with a bunch of
Bruce, my guy.
He's used to us ripping him at this point because the entire world is, all of the Survivor community.
It's been brutal.
Brewstal. I don't know what's going on with him. Poor guy.
Nailed that.
It's beautiful.
So you've been on the other side of this. Bruce has been edited. We've heard nothing but bad things, right? Kelly, Katurah, especially Katurah, but then in recent weeks it turned into Kelly. Kelly saying the worst part of her game is that she has to work with Bruce. Well, then Kelly goes home before Bruce. I think it was even more shocking that Kelly went home last week because she had felt like our narrator. And so we had to assume that Bruce was going to go before her. What are you seeing as somebody who's played the game before from this edit? And just like, I don't think anybody in your season got quite ripped in this way, but what are you seeing?
Well, the funny part is like, early in the pre-merge, the person getting the most similar edit was Gabler. So I'm not ready to write anything off because there's still a lot of game to be played. Like, you know, what are we at 9 now? So, I mean, there's a lot of like high value moves to be made here. So after watching how the edit of ours played out, like, well, and obviously I was there, but like, you can never write anything off. Like, I mean, Erica's edit was not exactly super flashy. But I do feel bad for Bruce. I mean, it's got to be hard seeing that a lot of the confessionals are being dedicated to kind of dunking on you. And obviously it's a storyline that the producers probably enjoyed and was trying to get a lot of, but at the same time, I do feel for Katurah that her edit has become extremely one-dimensional. You know, she's got this powerhouse career. She's a very successful woman. Like I don't even know if we got to hear her talking about that. She lied about her age and her birth month to get into that, like, you know, the Sagittarius alliance or whatever. I forget what Don't Come For Me. But yeah, like it's a little bit of a shame. It's a little too one-dimensional for me, but I'm not ready to write Brucey off just yet. I loved seeing him win immunity. I know like the edit's been kind of trying to get us to root against him a bit, but as someone who won an immunity the cycle where they were going to be voted out, it was really, really gratifying to see him clutch that out and win, especially after earlier in the day, he kind of was doing the tired old man shtick of like, oh, I'm not going to go run for the money in the auction. And then he beasted out the challenge, which looked very difficult, by the way. So I was happy for him. But if I was a betting person, unlike Sammy, I would say, or like Sammy, I guess, I wouldn't necessarily have him in my front runner spot. But like I said, there's a lot of moves to be made. So who knows? He could get it together, get Katurah out, and start his kind of trajectory going.
Yeah, I think that Bruce has, based on what I've watched, I think Bruce has the worst chance of winning out of the 9 people left. But I mean, I'm just going to say my number 1 off the bat here because we're in this conversation. And then, I don't want anybody to rush into it, but I have Bruce as my number 1 this week. So I think he has the worst chance to win out of these 9. But I don't think that bad chance to win is because of the game he's playing. It's because of what I'm watching play out. If he gets to final 3, let's say he did get to final 3 and he sits there, would Kelly vote for him to win? I don't know. I know Katurah wouldn't, but I don't know if Kelly would. Would she be able to look past it and say, you know what? Like, I can't believe you're sitting there. You did always say I was your number 1. You had me fooled. I'm going to vote for you to win. I don't know because I don't actually feel like I knew Kelly as well as I thought I knew Kelly. I feel like I was betrayed by a really good friend last week. Like it's not her fault at home, but that's how it feels. So when it comes to Bruce, I have a hard time seeing him getting the votes at the end. But we all saw Gabler having a hard time getting the votes at the end too. So I think it's a perfect comparison. And right now he has an idol. We know this week only 6 people are going to vote at tribal council. Who knows if they're going to drop some other sort of, bomb on us that's going to, 3 people are going to vote in final 9. Why not? We don't really know what's going to happen. And with the twists and turns and who can vote, who can't, we have the tribe breakdowns here. And well, not tribe breakdowns, but the team
breakdowns we're about to see.
But like, no matter how you shake it out the rest of the season, there's no guarantee vote, which I guess is what Survivor and Jeff and stuff kind of want because it's so chaotic. But sometimes having a sure thing, like last week, felt like it should have been a sure thing, right? Like there was no way Kelly was going home. Sometimes having a sure thing leads to your best blindsides and your best moments. And I think last week might be the best vote out of the new era. I think that could be the best vote out since
it's up there.
Season 31. Like we're going way back on this.
And it was clean. It was a very clean vote out. I think I do think Bruce's gameplay is not good from what I've been shown. I think yes, we've seen him being annoying. I think, but that is like kind of fine to me because I find that entertaining. I think the Kendra being pissed that he gets immunity and then he's like shaking it in front of the camera. Like I could watch that on a loop. I thought it was great. And even though I'm annoyed watching him, I yet still root for him. But at the same time, from a player, like from a gameplay perspective, I don't necessarily root for that because the gameplay that we've seen is him throwing his, like trying to throw Katurah under the bus in front of the other tribe, which I know you don't like her, but that maybe I have no understanding of this Bello tribe, and it seems like they also don't either, but that's not good gameplay. And then, you know,
it worked for Gabler with Ellie, just saying.
It did, but were they aligned?
Well, on like, paper, kind of, yeah.
But so I think that this is probably the issue with a tribe that wins all the time. Which always happens to be the blue tribe. So I think the difference between Gabler is, Phil, maybe you just brainwashed me too much, but we were shown like Gabler's like, okay, I did this crazy thing and now I'm going to chill out. Like we saw self-awareness in his actions. I don't know if we're seeing that from Bruce.
I was going to say too, Gabler's attack of Ellie, and you know, he's on the offensive against Ellie. When I say attack, it's not a bad thing. He's on the offensive against Ellie. Is so purposeful. I don't know if Bruce's calling out of Katurah in that moment was necessarily purposeful or if it was just really terribly worded. Did he mean to call her out? Did he say it in a confessional?
He said something along the lines of that. I should have better evidence to back it up, but something along the lines of like, I want people to know she's like not with me, or something of that nature.
I think what is going to be very interesting now at Final 9 and moving forward is Kelly felt like our important member of the Bello tribe. She was our sane person. She was the one who told us what was going on. We could view the game through her eyes and see that Bello was falling apart, but that she was doing everything in her power to keep it together so she could move forward in the game. With her gone, we know Bello is a disaster. We know that this tribe of 4 is not going to stick together, and they're not going to be going, oh, let's be the 4 of us and let's go try to pull Emily in. That's not going to happen. But also, where do each of them individually now fit in with the other tribe? Are they all going to sit there and say, well, let's vote Bruce out? Or will they say, let's keep Katurah and Bruce and let's get rid of Jake and Kendra, because Katurah and Bruce have been butting heads so much that they're not even playing the game at this point.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Jake, because he's had 2 big tribal councils now, and I think people could go either way on him, because I think now that he's lost, I don't know how close he and Kelly were, but he lost someone who was like a baseline ally of his and had this huge tribal. Are people going to say, okay, well, now he's, our favorite term, like defanged, or are we nervous because he will do whatever it takes to survive?
Yeah, I'm glad we brought up Jake. And for me, I've really enjoyed watching him just because his situation reminds me a lot of my own, in that he's trying really hard and things are just not falling his way. He's attempting to make moves and he's swinging, but it's just not working out. And I am hopeful that he's able to kind of claw his way to the end. Do I see him winning? Probably not. But I do think he could stick around. And I'm leaning towards, Alexa, what you were saying, more the defanged kind of angle. Because something I found out there, and something we hear all the time on podcasts, is like, oh, perception is reality. Perception is reality. And I think we could be getting to the point where it's perceived that Jake is just flailing and is kind of a non-factor. He doesn't have as many connections. He could be used as a number. We can take care of him later. He's not a threat to win. I could see him kind of being deprioritized in the eyes of the majority alliance. And what I'm more curious to see is how that majority alliance of 5 might shift and maybe start targeting each other. Like, was the move on Kelly kind of like the signal? It's like, hey, it's open season on threats now. Now it's time to start calling it down and getting rid of the big threats. And now us medium and low threats can start banding together to take out the front runners. So I predict that, I think, and that's obviously biased by my experience, but I think for a lot of people, they'll think there's bigger fish to fry than Jake right now.
I thought he brought up a great point during Tribal, and it was obviously a very last-ditch effort to stay in the game. But when he was saying somebody,
Oh,
Did he freeze for you too?
okay. I thought I was
is
making
making the
one
wrong move.
Hi.
All right, my internet just totally died. At least I could tell. But
You
so
had it was dramatic.
goes,
It was somebody, and then
yeah,
that's
he
where
said
it died.
somebody is making the wrong move, and he's 100% right in saying that, because there is a hierarchy. You know, you might feel like you're in a good spot, but D, Julie, Austin, Drew, Emily, that's your 5 in whatever order they might be. After that, it's a different order. And if you vote Jake out, you're letting those 5 stay at the 5. So somebody is making the wrong move. And I think that people might not take Jake too seriously right now because he's very desperate. So they might be, oh, he's just trying to play the game. He's just trying to play the game. But I agree with you. I'm not looking at Jake saying, I got to get him out of here as fast as possible. He's trying to cause chaos, but he is in the exact same position as you. He just wants something different. You wanted to know what was, somebody tell me how to vote. I'm willing to go along with it. Where Jake is saying, I'm not willing to go along with it. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to take control. He can want to take control all he wants. Even at this point, if him and Bruce take control, in air quotes, Bruce plays his idol this week, him and Jake take over and vote out who they want out, you're 2 guys still. It is still 6-2 or whatever it is at final 8. Even if people lose votes, you need 4 people essentially to lose votes. So Jake is toothless, but that type of toothless player can cause just enough chaos that he keeps lasting one more week. Kelly going home to me feels like the first time that there has been a little bit of a shift in terms of, you know, if you're not a threat, now all of a sudden you're going to go a little bit deeper, where that didn't feel like the case prior to Kelly going home.
Definitely.
Yeah, there were no lines in the sand until this episode.
Yeah.
Were you shocked that Kelly ended up going? Sorry.
I was. I 100% was. I thought it might have been a touch early. And again, just from my experience, we were doing a lot of those landslide votes a bit early. Ours was a little different because we had this 5-5 split at 10. So that was kind of when the minority could finally get something going. We were able to get James out. But like the Janine vote, that was like shockingly the peak of my frustration, honestly, because that's when I was trying really hard with Noelle, Janine, Gabler, Sammy. We were trying to get Carla and Cass to flip on Ryan. And we spent all day trying to get them to flip. And it just felt like running into a brick wall. And that's when eventually I was like, just tell me what to do, whatever. Like, it's clearly not going to work. I just want to be able to like just move forward and figure it out later. But like, we spent all day trying to get something going. Like, oh, we don't want another woman to go. Like, Ryan is a physical threat, blah, blah, blah. So I was a little surprised just because my perception of everything was, even as frustrated as I was like, well, if I was in the majority, I'd probably doing what they're doing. I'd probably stick 7 strong, like no reason to shake the apple cart quite yet. I get it. So I could have easily seen them sitting on their hands, but I really appreciate as a viewer that they went for it and they saw the opportunity to take out someone that they perceived as a potential winner, someone who has a lot of strategic opportunity, apparently a good social game. Like, I thought it was a great move for the Rebas and Emily. I'm just curious to see now if they're going to get a little trigger happy or just have that itch now to do more and try to go, or if they'll be able to reel it back and figure it out and, you know, take out some of the like more thorn in their side type people like you were describing with Jake.
Yeah. We shall see. We're about to get into these rankings too. So let's
do it.
Let's jump in.
Phil's way ahead of us. Owen, who do you think is the safest person?
Well, hang on. Before I do that, I want to break up these tribes real quick. Just say what the teams are.
Challenge participants is
what did you all call them out there, Owen? Did you have a name for when you all got split?
I think teams or groups. I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It was just like red and blue, honestly. Like at Merge of Toys, like red over here, blue over here, and they use that at 10 also. So yeah.
We talked about this before we went live, but what do you guys think is going to happen here?
Oh, with the mechanics of it all?
With these 3, like, is it 1 tribal council? Is it 3 tribal councils? Is it not tribal council?
No, I don't think it'll be 3. I imagine maybe it's a 3-way challenge. And no, they wouldn't make only 3 people eligible. He said 3 people are losing their vote, but maybe only 1 team win. Maybe the winning team wins immunity for 3, and then The losing team loses their votes, and then the middle, nothing happens.
Oh God, I would hate that.
So 3 people could be safe. 3 are going to have no votes. I mean, it's pretty chaotic. What my inclination is that they're going to do 3 versus 3 versus 3. Last place tribe, team, group, red, blue, whatever they are, goes home, or not goes home, loses their votes. They can't vote. The first 3, the first team to finish, will get to compete for individual immunity. That's what I think.
That would be much better.
Oh, I like that.
I like that.
I like that portion of that.
Yeah, I think all 3 will get a reward. They'll get to go to the sanctuary where good things happen. We get to roll our eyes, which is my favorite part of every Wednesday night. But I think that 1 person will win immunity. 3 won't vote. So in this final 9, you'll have 6 votes, 1 person safe, plus Bruce's idol, plus Austin's now 2 idols. Yes, he has 2. And here's what the teams are. This way we can all have the information. This way anybody who's playing in our power rankings game, you can also have that information. They showed this in the preview when they said all 3 of you won't. Like Alexa was able to go and watch the preview at the end of last week's on Next Time on Survivor. Alexa was able to watch that, pause it, and look at the 3 groups of 3. So here they are. Drew, Jake, and D. Kendra, Bruce, and Julie. Austin, Katura, and Emily. Any of those stand out to anybody as the team they think is SOL here?
Probably. Go ahead, Alexa.
You go first.
I was going to say Kendra, Julie, and Bruce.
So I was going to say that, but Julie and Bruce have some Gen X strength.
Yeah, the parent strength.
I think. Yeah, the dad strength, like Gabler had. I don't know. The way these like staged challenges usually go is I think they're like usually obstacle courses. Like you climb and you go up and down. So I could see that being tougher.
Yeah. Because this is tough. Because I think Emily fell a few times. I think Katura may have fallen also on like the rope with the basketball. Mm-hmm. You like shoot it up and you have to run through. I think they both fell. Whew, man. But I think Drew, Jake, and D are probably the safest. I think they're the favorites of the 3.
Yeah.
Julie fell a lot, but her team was fine. I think
you're back.
Hi,
you two talk right guy like that. I don't know what's going on. We're getting like crazy rain down here because I'm in South Florida, so it has to be 85 degrees and pretend it's the middle of August. But it like we're getting crazy rains and it's just killing my internet. So if I ever break up, you guys just keep going and we'll pretend I'm not here. Right. I apologize.
We'll power through.
We'll power through. So yeah, I missed whatever went on there, but I think this actually shook out pretty evenly. I think that's
it's pretty
even groups. Yeah. All right. So those are the groups. Now we can rank them. Hopefully my theory is correct. I also want to just throw this out there, Alexa. I meant to mention this at the beginning. So we weren't always on iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. We started off just on YouTube. This week, our last episode just was our 1 millionth listen on Spotify.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So I wanted to throw that out there and just kind of like as a thank you thing to everybody. I meant to say that off the top, but then I was so worried about getting on Sammy's case that I forgot. So here we are. We hit 1 million. So thank you everybody who listens over there as well. I know we get a lot of views on YouTube and all of that, but to all the people who still listen to us without looking at us, I don't know how you just put up with our voices. I'm not saying that we're like the best thing to look at, but I don't know how you just listen to us.
I don't think our voices are the best things to listen to. Wow, that is that is really, really,
we just
cool.
hit 1 million, and that was pretty awesome to see that. I never thought that we'd see that many. So thank you, everybody.
Wow. Good for y'all. That's awesome.
Sweet.
Now we can actually rank. I promise. I already said I had Bruce. Owen, who's your number 1?
My number 1 is our queen financial analyst, Emily Flippin.
Yes,
is my number 1. Nice. Good taste.
We love her.
Yeah, I think she will not emerge. I think she's in kind of a medium threat kind of position. You know, the Dwight Schrute, like on the murder mystery, it's like it's the person I most medium suspect. Like, I really think she's in that sweet spot where she's not kind of hapless and flailing around like Jake. She's not most obviously in this like power duo or has a ton of advantages that people might know about. So if the Reba 5 somehow decides to cannibalize upon each other, I think they'll be jockeying for Emily's vote. And I don't think she'll be the target. I don't think the 4 original Rebas will come together and be like, oh, let's get rid of Emily. I think two of them would try to use Emily to oust an Austin or a Drew or a D or something like that. So I think Emily's in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think even this fractured Bellow group, if they want to try to whip something together, she seems like the lowest hanging fruit, even though I don't know where she stands with Dee and Julie, but she is definitely a part of this alliance. So I think people are going to be coming to her to work with her, not anything else.
Now, my concern for Emily is last week, Sammy and Alexa both put Kelly at number 1, and she went home. And I didn't put Kelly at 1. So now I'm concerned if Alexa and Owen are in too much agreement here on Emily. But no, I think
Kelly and Emily go back to back this season is a wash.
I hope we didn't just curse her. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll never show my face on a podcast again. Just
now he retires.
Yeah.
We made it happen.
No, I'll ride off into the sunset with Alexa.
with our bad takes.
Although Alexa did announce at the beginning, what was it? She said, if Emily wins, I think it was after episode 1 or 2, she said, if Emily wins, I'll come back. And that was when it looked like
I saw
Emily
that in the chat. Yeah,
someone just said that. Phil, I don't know what your plans are, but if that happens, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I got nothing to do.
Let's go, Emily.
Let's go. All right. Number 2.
Yeah, so Owen, let's go with you first. Who you got at number 2?
Number 2, I've got Mama Julie for pretty similar reasons. I don't think she's the most threatening in that majority alliance. So if some shenanigans were to happen, I don't think she's at the top of anyone's hit list. But if the majority stays stagnant and just tries to pick off people from the bottom, she ain't going anywhere either. So I think she's pretty safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she got her name written down by now somebody who has really, I don't want to say isolated himself because I don't think that's true, but there is now sort of quote unquote no validity to her vote that she received, or votes. It seems.
No, that's a good point. I kind of didn't think about that when I was putting this together. So she could be kind of on this one track mind right now. She could I think they showed that in the strategy for this previous episode. Like she was really gung ho about voting out Jake. So that could kind of give her a little tunnel vision, but still from a being targeted perspective, I don't see it.
Yeah. And I think she seems reasonable enough that she didn't when they said no, she was like, okay. It wasn't
that's
a total hill to die on.
Yeah, no, which was very smart of her.
Now,
hi.
What I wanted to ask, I had to put headphones in. It's Bachelor viewing night, even though Bachelor's on Thursdays. My wife.
The Bachelor is on every single day.
Yeah, they're about to watch something right now, so everybody just came over, and it was like, whoa. But so my question is, Owen, you mentioned that there's the potential Emily decides to go against one side or the other. Maybe she tries to make that move a little bit earlier, like you said. Maybe they get a little trigger happy, but. Who do you think she'll side with? I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think it's too early. They finally got 5. But who do you think she would side with in that group?
I think logically I'd lean towards maybe the Drew Austin side, but I think the question would be, does Drew try to cut, do Drew and Austin try to cut D, or does Drew try to pull off a move against Austin because Austin has the 2 idols and is more physically imposing? I could maybe see that happening, but I think she and Drew have made a connection from their time together on the Swap Tribe. They seem to be working together. She seems to trust him. So that would be my inclination. I haven't seen or recall any seeds of any real legs behind keeping women in the game or working together. Obviously we saw it for 10 seconds last week, but that did not hold.
It's and from tradition at this point.
I know. They love kind of honeypotting us with that and be like, "Oh, here he comes."
Ooh, good word.
Thank you. I try, but yeah, here's the women's line. Never mind, it's done. But yeah, I think Kelly was the one who said also I don't think anyone really held much weight to that. It felt more like a procedural, all 6 women are sitting here. Let's just say it so we aren't being weird by not saying it. So yeah. I think Emily would lean towards the Drew side. What do you all think?
I don't know. I think Drew's the one we've seen put in more of the work with her. And I think out of Drew and Austin, he is probably the one that she relates to more. They both seem very logical, good at taking their emotions out of voting for people. So that's my guess. But also Austin has 2 idols. And if I knew that, I'd probably hang out with him.
Yeah. I think what's going to end up happening is Drew and Emily are going to try to make a move. And I think Austin is actually going to stop it. I think Austin and Drew as a duo, we've seen them be really tight. We've seen them, they've played every day together on this island. But I do think that Austin might be feeling a little bit better as the game goes on about beating Dee and Julie, because it was Drew who said, let's vote out Kelly. Drew also knew a lot of what Austin has. He knew where the idols were. He knew about all the advantages. He knew that there was the goodwill advantage, things like that. And Drew was the one who actually had the goodwill advantage and gave it to Austin. I think Austin might be a little concerned that him and Drew are playing too similar of games. And if Emily tries to make that move, I can see the shocked look on Emily's face as Drew's the one hiking out. I don't think Emily ever sides, though, with Julie and Dee over Austin and or Drew. I just think that maybe Austin decides to go with the women rather than going with Drew and Emily.
I like that logic.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
All right. I think we need y'all's number twos.
We do.
I have Austin at number 2. I think even though we're seeing, him being a little smitten by his alliance member, I don't think that matters, because I think him having, first of all, if he tells someone he has 2 idols, I think it's really hard to pull off another like James vote out. I think it could happen, but I think we're talking about things being too early. I think it would be probably a little too early to get rid of Austin, because they finally have this 4 that actioned. I think they need to keep with it a little bit more. I also think Austin very well could win individual immunity. None of us mentioned his trio as the group that could potentially lose their vote. And I don't know if what I love so much about this Reba group is that they aren't trying to screw each other over. And I really hope that this lasts. And maybe some people would hate if they became the final 4, but I think that would show that loyalty can bring success in Modern Survivor. So I think Austin is probably pretty safe at number 2.
That would be a different take on New School Survivor. It would show that really any type of game can be played, because so far it's been a lot of chaos, a lot of flipping back and forth, cross-tribal alliances, all that. This would be different.
I think a lot of people have talked about this, but I think I remember Stephen Fishback tweeting about it a long time ago, but in pre-New Era, but post Heroes versus Villains, there, you start on 2 tribes and you swap to 3 and you swap back to 2. That ended up actually creating no new alliances. People stuck with who they knew. And so I wonder if now people are going to be so accustomed to this randomness that there's no point in trying anything else other than just, here's who I have and that's what we're going to do. I don't think we've seen that, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I'd be really impressed and would respect it a lot if they managed to pull that off. That would be, I think, really difficult. More so for the fact that to resist the big movitis that comes around, and you feel like you need to do something flashy to pull out the win or to pad your resume or whatever. I think that would take a lot of resisting of the James Clement don't bite the apple. They'd really have to not bite the apple to pull that off. But I'd be impressed for sure.
Yeah, and the thing right now is with how these broke out, these 3 groups, Reba can't lose the numbers. They can even up the numbers. It can be a 3-3 split, but they can't lose the numbers because there's 2 people from their alliance and 1 person from Bellows' alliance, which I don't think they're aligned, in every one of these situations except for Kendra, Bruce, Julie. So if that one loses, now Bellows down to 2 people just voting, and the Reba 4 can still vote together, even though Julie can't vote. It would just be Emily in that spot. With the other 2 groupings, you could lose 2 Reba votes, but you're also going to lose 1 Bello vote. So in a worst case scenario, it's 3-3. How tight are all of them? I think they're really tight, and they make up a large majority of my early picks here, because I also have Austin at number 2. If you have 2 idols at this point, I don't see you going home, especially when there's only 6 votes. People can't split the votes in a 6-vote tribal council the way that they can split the votes in a 9-person tribal council. 9-person tribal council, you go 3-3-3. 6-person voting, 6 people voting, you can't. And you don't even know who the people who are going to be who are voting. You got to make sure everybody's on the same page. You might not have the relationships. It's really crazy. You mentioned James Clement. He went home with 2 idols in his pocket at Final 7. There are fewer people voting at Final 9 tonight or on Wednesday night than were voting when James Clement went home with 2 idols in his pocket. So there's less of a chance for something to be pulled on Austin. There was a bigger chance of something being pulled on James. It's just crazy because of how few people are voting. So I have Austin at 2.
I like it.
Who do you have at 3, Owen?
I've got Drew at 3. So keeping in a similar pattern with the majority 5 close to the top here, I think he is more likely to initiate a move rather than like being the victim of one if the majority decides to do something crazy. But otherwise, I think he's in a pretty powerful position. Like you said, I really liked what you were saying about the split in terms of the majority minority and how those numbers shake out. It ended up, I bolded the names on my little note up here. And yeah, even if his group were to lose their votes, if like him, Jake, and D lose their votes at Tribal, there's still an opportunity. Like that would require for something crazy to happen for Couture and Bruce to get on the same page to try to take a shot at him. And as we've discussed, I don't see that happening. So I think Drew's in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I could put Drew at number 3 or like more closer to the middle. I think what's cool is I feel like he made this big move, but because it came from like such a collective, it doesn't seem like, oh my God, Drew is this like huge mastermind, which is good for him.
Yeah, I don't go Drew yet. My concern with Drew is if his group does lose, I still don't see any way he goes home. I mean, I'm just giving devil's advocate to who out of the Rebas I think would go home. I think he would probably be the top choice of the Rebas to go home at this point because Austin's idol stuff is very public, I believe. I think Kelly probably told more people than we're being led on that she had that amulet advantage, that was something that happened. So now they're going to know about that one idol. He's already told. I think Dee and Julie know that he has an idol. He knows he has an idol. Drew knows he has an idol. There's so much information out there about Austin's stuff that it concerns me for Drew because he can be seen as the right-hand man and somebody that you get rid of. This is the lowest I have put this person on this season, but I'm going to put Dee at 3 instead of Drew. This is the lowest I've had her. I still think she's fine, but she doesn't have that protection that Bruce and Austin have right now. And if Dee's grouping loses, we've already talked about it. Bruce, Katura, and Kendra would have to vote together, which is never going to happen. I would be absolutely floored. But if they all did vote together, Dee and Drew, who do they go for in that type of situation? Now, it's not only those two that they would go for. They could still go for an Austin. They could still go for a Julie. They could still go for an Emily. But I feel like Dee and Drew are starting to separate themselves a little bit from the other members of Reba as threats and as people who are in control in some way. You know, Dee seems like she's in control of the social aspect of it. Austin seems like he's in control of the fun aspect of it, the advantages, the immunity type stuff. So I'm going to say that Dee would be the person that, even though she should be the target, they would still go after Drew if Austin were to win an immunity or something, because they're more concerned about weakening what is turning into, I think, what is going to be the really big pair of the Reba tribe. I don't know. I lost my train of thought halfway through. It makes sense in my head.
No, it made sense. It made sense. Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got D at 3. D at 3, the lowest I've had her. I still think she's going to end up winning the season, but this is a tough one because we don't know who's going to lose, and we've never seen this twist before. So it's hard to not put the people with advantages at the top.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with how like manic the game has become. I'm going to put Julie at 3. So we're keeping the like Reba group pretty high across all of us. I think Drew and Dee are the most quote unquote intimidating members of the Reba Alliance, which I don't necessarily like agree with that. I think we're seeing that Julie is really playing, but I think it benefits her that she didn't really get what she wanted. And 2, I just think people have been talking about how Dee has been a threat. Drew just spearheaded this big move. Why, if you're going to get rid of any of them, why would you get rid of Julie? Especially if word comes out that Austin is the one who is packing heat.
Speaking of packing heat, there was something I wanted to bring up, and the perfect opportunity just presented itself. Were y'all getting any showmance vibes from the next time on Survivor? Someone in the chat brought it up, but Austin was kind of waxing poetic a bit about Dee. Like, he loves being around her. Like, it was a little bit more than just like, oh, she's a trusted ally that I want in this game. It really seemed like there could be something there. I don't know if I'm just like catching on from the Matt and Franny of it from last season, but like there could be a little something.
I'm realizing that 2 out of the 3 of us had a very different interpretation of what pack and heat meant. Sorry for those of you at home. I was like, why did I get such a weird reaction to that?
Yeah. Owen and I were on the exact same page. I was like, that is the first time pack and heat's been said on this podcast, but there's been a couple times I've thought it while watching the show. But, you know,
season 38, perhaps.
Does anyone have Troy's
season 38 for sure. Also, what was it? Game Changers. That one comes to mind. There was a monster on that island, and it was green. So anyway,
I am not auzed to speak on that topic, but I think
true. Sorry.
based on. Well, anyways, I think they found like the one cut of him just like googly eyesing like at her, and he's like, I don't want to get rid of her. I love talking to her. I'm like, that's what I say when I love talking to people as well. So I think maybe, I think that'd be nice.
I could see it. Dee is not going to get sidetracked. Dee is on her way to win this game. She's going to
she's like, I don't have time for this.
Break Austin's innocent young heart and win this thing. But I didn't really pick up on that. Oh, there you go. I didn't realize that.
Watching the end of the poll challenge, they innocently say they love you to each other. That's innocent.
Are we talking like Candace to Billy, or are we?
I was just
gonna say, what kind of love do we have?
Yeah. Because I'm gonna be honest, like this has gone south for survivors in the past, so you got to be careful with when you say you love somebody on this show. I didn't really read into it that way, but I think that's a really good point, and I like it because it really backs up my opinion that Drew and Emily, I think, are going to get blindsided by Austin at some point, going with Dee and Julie. So I will take what Owen said here and I will write it into scripture pretty much. And it is fact. It is chiseled in stone because that backs up my theory. But if it is something that comes about, that's a really bad spot now for Drew and Emily. And now you do have to start thinking about making a move sooner if you start to catch wind of this, because it doesn't seem like Drew and Emily have much of a relationship with Mama J. It feels like I know Drew and Julie talked early in this season, but since then we haven't seen them interact pretty much at all this season. So
yeah, they're all, it's a weird group of 4 because we don't know them super personally. We know the Bello 4, whatever number they are, much more personally, but these 4, they're like they're a group project that's going to get an A+. Like they don't even need to like each other that much. Maybe they really do, but that is like not the narrative that we're being shown about them.
Yeah. So Owen, who do you have at 4?
4, I'm going to go back to what I was talking about a bit earlier, and I've got Jake there. I think Jake, I'm optimistic he's going to be able to skate by and live in this kind of space where he's not viewed as threatening. I hate it for him. I know it must be extremely frustrating trying to make these moves and they just come up short every time. But I don't think he'd be at the top of anybody's list if the Reba 4 plus Emily decides to kind of keep the status quo. I don't think he'd be necessarily the top choice. Although, like, I'm committing to not changing my list as we talk, by the way. So you've made some good points as we've gone, but I think he's in this place where, you know, he's just like sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. The variable I'm unsure of is him like slipping up and saying he had an idol at Tribal. Like I saw some discourse about that where people were saying, like, did he do that on purpose? We know he's a theater kid. Was he trying to put on this like hazy, sleepy, like losing his train of thought act that has rubbed off on me apparently, to where he's trying to shake something up? So that could throw a wrench into plans, but I'm like more inclined to think he's kind of existing in the place where I was, where people are just like, yeah, we'll take care of that later.
Yeah, I go ahead, Alexa. You go.
I think it was acting, but I don't think that in particular was good acting.
Yeah.
The I was like, but I don't know. I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited for his exit press because I think this will be a fun like debate to settle.
I don't know if we're going to get exit press for a little bit though, Alexa. I'm kind of with Owen on this, and I don't have him ranked high. But I am feeling like right now when I look at the groups, even if I didn't have the groups and all I knew was that 3 people were going to lose their vote, it does not matter for Jake at this point if he loses his vote or not. It doesn't matter. Jake is essentially useless to everybody out there right now. And I'm not saying that terribly. I don't mean that as an insult, even though it's coming across.
The man has
way.
a nana.
He does have a nana. He is useless to everyone, though. And I think that actually benefits him and gives him a chance to become useful, because there's the opportunity that somebody loses a vote this week where everybody says, this could be our chance to strike. We could make a big move here. You look at that Austin, Katura, and Emily tribe. If Austin and Emily both lose their vote, I could see Bruce and Kendra or Jake saying, why don't we try to take a shot at Austin or at D or at Drew? And I'm not saying that it would work, but I think that if Jake loses a vote, nobody's saying, oh, good, we can finally get rid of him. You can get rid of him anyway. But if he on the other end of that, if he loses the vote, you're not saying, oh, God, well, now we can't make the vote we wanted to make because of Jake. I think that Jake benefits from other people losing their vote. And I think Jake is going to work his way in, and I think he's going to get close to being in some sort of power position, and then you're going to get the wool pulled over your eyes again. And I feel like, Owen, you know all about that on your season. I feel like Jake is following your footsteps.
The knowing smile.
Yep. I love it. I love it. I had a football close, but I'm not going to stand up and get it. But I feel for the guy. I really do. I shot him a message. I'm like, hey, bro, like, you're doing great. Keep it up, sport. Like, keep it up, sport.
You got this, champ.
Yeah.
We had Jam at the last RHAP event doing the hat dance or whatever he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
We need you at the New Orleans one to go out there and have somebody pull the football out from you and just fall back. And then Jake can follow that up next year when he goes to the RHAP events.
Amazing.
That's what we need moving forward. So.
I'll happily pass the football to Jake. He's great. He's been fun to watch.
He's fantastic. He is unbelievable.
His laugh too. His laugh just makes me happy.
Yes.
It seems so fake, but it's so authentic. It's just
so real.
It is. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Emily finally at 4. And then I'm going to jump one spot further than that. I'm going to put Julie at 5. So I have Emily at 4 because I feel like Emily is going to be in a air quotes swing position this week, where if she has a vote, people are going to, Bello might say, would you consider working with us? Even though I don't think Bello is going to attack it together necessarily. Katura might say to her, what if we did work a women's alliance? Do you think we could convince Dee and Julie? Bruce might say, what if you came with me and Jake? Maybe we could get Austin and Drew. You do realize Dee's going to win this game, right? Jake is going to say whatever the heck he needs to say to try to stay further in this game. So I think Emily is in a really good air quotes swing position. I think her mind is already made up. I think she's going to go with Reba, but any idols get played, anybody wins immunity, 3 lost votes, whatever it's going to be, it's never coming back on her. Julie, I put at 5. And my reason for that is the concern that if one of these teams does lose votes, and it is one of the teams with 2 Rebas and one of the Bello people, I think that Julie could be in a weird spot where it's a throwaway of Reba won't see it coming. She's not going to get the idol. You know, they wouldn't play it for her. But at the end of the day, my top 5, I don't see any of them going home in any situation. I'm the only one who said Bruce so far, but I'll wait until we kind of get to where you all have Bruce, where I really start to give a reasoning behind why I had him at number 1. But Emily, Julie, D, Austin, I mean, we would need absolute chaos for them to go home. And just 3 people losing their vote, as crazy as it sounds, isn't chaotic enough for one of them to go home this week. So
it's too boring.
It's too boring. Yeah, I have Emily at 4 and Julie at 5.
I'll go next. I actually have Bruce at 4. I had him a lot lower, and then earlier today I moved him up. I think for what it's worth, he lost one of his detractors. And yes, that detractor also happened to be who he thought was his number 1 ally. But I think now there's less of a reason to get rid of him. Like, Drew also had like a thing about wanting to get rid of him, and Drew got rid of Kelly instead. So I think Bruce is almost less intimidating now, which I think is wonderful for Bruce because now he is an idol. So it also doesn't seem like it's making him play very differently. I think because he lost his number one, he'll be very like conservative with it and potentially either just use it for himself or maybe, like what you said, Phil, like try to make something happen with Jake. I don't really know. I think Katura's a lost cause. It sounds like Kendra's a lost cause. So I don't see this good for him in the long term, but I think maybe losing Kelly could also like get him revved up to like play a second half. Mm-hmm. So I think he's fine. And then I have Jake at 5 because like I think maybe he's useless, but he could be useful. So I don't think there'd be any reason to get rid of Jake right now. And I would be
in the middle. Yeah.
Devastated if he went home. I absolutely love him.
Yeah. I'm disappointed you don't sound like he does because you're from Boston too, right? Like what happened?
I am. I talk to my mom every week after on Thursday morning. And I'm like, Mom, you grew up like in like Massachusetts. Like, have you ever heard this accent? And she was like, I've like no subsection of Boston accent sounds like that. It is like, it is unbelievable.
He sounds like he's a fishing captain. Like that's what he sounds like.
He sounds like
such a thick accent that's what he does. Like that's it. I don't know.
It's like the perfect storm.
It is.
He's unbelievable. I don't know if it's a theater kid, but it's beautiful. I want to hear what his Nana sounds like.
Oh my God.
Nana has no accent at all. Nana sounds like she's from anywhere else in the Northeast but Boston. I want to go to your Bruce point real quick. And Owen, do you have Bruce at 5? Because I want to make a point on Bruce.
I do not, but you go first, and then I did have a follow-up thought, but go for it.
Okay, because my thing with Bruce is this. Katura is his nemesis. Katura won't vote with him. But let's say, and it's the one group that none of us think is going to lose. But let's say Austin, Katura, and Emily lose. Katura can't vote. Austin can't vote. Emily can't vote. Bruce, Jake, Kendra, Julie, D, and Drew. Those are your people voting. Bruce has an idol. People know about his idol, I'm pretty sure. I feel like he would probably be the target in that situation for Drew, D, and Julie. And that's one where Bruce, him and Jake, if they're both voting, they have shown to be close to each other. Kendra, for as much as she might not like Bruce, was voting in line with Bruce at the tribal council she was going to. They could potentially pull something using Bruce's idol. We were talking about a couple weeks ago, Bruce being somebody who goes home with an idol in his pocket. I think now we're officially past that point, and I think Bruce might end up going home, not this week, but next week, because of maybe a wasted idol play. We went from he's never going to play it because he feels too comfortable to Kelly going home. He knows he's toast. So if they do really like this kind of thought. Yeah, if they do come for him, he has that idol, which he can use to potentially take out a threat in this game. And I don't see any way he doesn't play it this week if he does not win immunity. I think he's going to play it because he's going to feel like, oh, there's only 6 people. If it's 3-3 at best, I got to rely on Kendra to vote with me. I'm not doing that. So even if Kendra votes with Drew, D, and Julie, Jake and Bruce, that's all they need to be able to vote out whoever they want if the idol is played correct.
I really like this. I think we saw that. I think they posted a clip from the preview. Kendra is like gutted about losing Kelly. It seemed like they were really, really tight. So I could see them putting their differences aside. And clearly y'all have thought about this a lot more than I have. But I really like this proposition with this group of 6 potentially voting. Because, you've got 3 in the majority, 3 in the minority. I could easily see Jake and Bruce working with Kendra on this one. And to me, then to your point, I think the question would then be, does Bruce play the idol on himself, or I think on Kendra would be the debate he's having? Because now I'm thinking about the Michael Yerger tribal council in Ghost Island, where him, Brendan, and Stephanie are in the minority, and he's played it on Stephanie, but then they ended up voting out Brendan Shapiro. Does Bruce maybe think like, oh, Jake's kind of non-threatening, they're probably going to come for me, or maybe Kendra as like the person they think we won't think they're voting for. And I really liked your point about it could end up being his downfall to where maybe he plays it on himself tonight or on Wednesday, Kendra goes home, and then next week he gets clipped as well. That's smart. So much is going to be left to this stupid challenge with this twist.
Stupid challenge.
It's hard to even speculate.
It would be a really cool bookend to whoever's story if Bruce plays his idol on Kendra, but even more so Katora, and saves her. Like that would be
amazing.
incredible.
Oh my god, the payoff.
The
Could you imagine the confessional from Katura after Bruce saves her with an
rolls
idol?
her eyes.
Yeah, she just another wordless confessional, probably. Just I don't even know what
She's like, all I wanted to do was go home.
Yeah. I didn't want to be around him anymore, and he saved me. That would be
I get to be here with Bruce for 2 more days. Huzzah.
And then we get a great Bruce laughing confessional. It's so good. Bruce, if you're listening, I hope you do that.
Yeah, please do that, Bruce, just for the laughs of it all.
I say Bruce has the 9th best chance out of the 9 remaining to win, but I feel like he also isn't playing nearly as bad of a game as the edit is making it seem. I feel like he's known what's going on.
He has a great read.
He really does.
Have a great read.
Yeah.
He really does. I hope he's still listening, because so much is just like, oh, Bruce. But his reads are on point for sure.
He seems like he's taking it
there he is. He's still there.
Hey, there he is.
now that we know he's still here, man, I hate that guy. I can't stand him. All right.
Anyway. We thought he was gone. No more nice shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
So y'all are through your 5.
Yeah. So who's your 5?
Okay. My 5 is D. As we've been talking, I was inclined to shift her higher, but I'm just going to stick to the list I made earlier today. She is, I think what my thought process is, I think she and Kelly were kind of being viewed in kind of a similar light, like these socially adept, strategically threatening, challenge ability people that could make a push to win. So I do see her as someone that the Bello minority might try to target if they're able to try to pull something off. Do I think she's going to go home this week? No, I don't. But I do think she's someone that could be on people's radar more so than an Emily or a Julie. So I don't think it'll come to fruition. I think Austin could want to keep her around based on that preview that we were talking about. So I don't think she's going anywhere, but I think her name could come up as someone that's like, we got to do something about D. She's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
I feel the same way about D.
Jake is looking at D. He's been looking at D since the split. Since, I want to work her. Or not work. I want to weaken her.
Disarm her.
Yeah, disarm her. Brutal. But he sees that she's the threat. So in my scenario of those are the 6 people voting, D might be the one that Bruce and Jake go after. And maybe I'll learn one day to stop looking at an edit too much, and I'll put D lower down. But I don't know. Like it would be shocking for me if D went home this week, being what we've seen of her, especially after Kelly went home last week, and that was so shocking. Maybe Survivor's completely overcorrecting from how much they've under-edited women in the past, and now they're going to start giving the women kind of these, I'm using air quotes on this, pointless edits where, a lot of the men in Survivor history said, didn't even go that far. Why'd they get so much more than the female winner, the female second place, the female third place? Maybe they've done a shift. Maybe they've said 90-minute episodes. We can start giving it to, D and Kelly and let them have a lot of screen time. But don't throw off my reads, okay? Owen still thinks I was spoiled on his season, I believe. So, we gotta make sure.
I know there weren't any spoilers for my season, so I was just like, what is this guy on that he's calling the alligator? I was like, no one knows this in the world, and no one would predict this from what's being shown. I just didn't get it.
That's what I need. I need to have those types of moments where I blow people's minds. And if they're going to start over-editing people like D, and she's going to go home at final 9, Survivor editors, you're losing a good one here, because I'm not gonna be able to read shit after this. So anyway, like I said, it seemed like you were gonna jump in with D. Is that what you're gonna do?
This is my number 6, and this is me turning off my edit viewing. I wonder if stopping podcasting will stop me from thinking about the edit, but I know that's not the case. Her name has come up, and not ever in a I want to get rid of her, but she's a threat. I want to take out her number 1 ally. I think after her group just made this big move on all sides, I think this was the first shot, and now everyone's going to try to start doing stuff. And D is definitely a name that is going to be coming up this week. I think she could I was gonna say I think she could win immunity, but I just looked at this challenge. I don't even know if this is a reward challenge or not.
Yeah.
But I think she's okay, but I do have her kind of in the middle to lower side.
I mean, I think Owen almost convinced me I put her way too high at number 3. So I'm, Alexa, I've been giving you a hard time, and I feel like we go back. This is the one thing we'll purposefully disagree with, because I keep saying Dee's going to win just because she lives in South Florida. But I actually feel like
love
the homerism.
Your reasoning right now, I think is more sound than mine was for putting her at 3. I thought I was being low on her, putting her at 3. I thought you were all going to have her higher. And Alexa at 6, I'm like, and then, Owen put her at 5. I'm sitting here going, kind of would make sense for a blind side of D this week if the Bello people can pull something. And we don't know what the challenge is going to be. We have no idea. We don't know who's voting.
That's a heavy
big ask.
Because at best they have 3 votes. So
yeah,
that Drew Jake D group losing is the best case scenario for them. So
the math doesn't work even when everybody has a vote.
Yeah,
that's true.
This twist is helpful to the minority, so we'll see.
That's true.
We're on 6 now.
Yeah, go ahead, Owen. Who do you have at 6?
So I've got Austin at 6 for reasons I kind of discussed earlier when I was talking about the other Rebas. I think just with his advantages and his kind of arsenal he's building up, I'm forgetting. I don't know exactly who knows about it, but we got to think that there are some people who know, and that it's not 100% airtight of a secret. So I think he could emerge as someone that gets targeted, but ultimately I really just have my bottom 3 as the people I think it's going to be in contention to go home. So I don't think it's his week yet, but I do see a possibility of something happening where a Drew and Emily move against Austin before Austin moves against Drew. So I've got him kind of lower down the pecking order there.
Yeah, I really struggled with the bottom 4, and I'm going to put Drew at 6. So rounding out the Rebas, which I think all of us now have done. We all have the Reba 4 plus Emily.
3.
Yeah, all in our top 5. Well, Owen hasn't gotten a Bruce
6
yet.
For me.
Yeah.
No, I've not done Bruce yet.
Yeah, he hasn't done Bruce yet. So, but when I look at this, I go with Drew here because I just struggle to see the Bellows actually voting for Drew. But, it's a good point when it comes to, would they try to say, Austin is such a big threat at this point. We need to vote for him. And will Drew start to wake up and say, Austin is such a big threat at this point. He has 2 idols. I know he has 2 idols. I need to make this happen. Could him voicing that, though, because Drew has been 100% truthful as far as I could tell. His nose has not gotten any longer because he's ridiculously honest. If he does this, could it get back to Austin and that be Drew's downfall? Because Drew doesn't actually have any protection. His protection is coming from his allies, not from himself. That is something that could happen. And that's why I put Drew at 6. Drew is playing a very forward-facing game. He is letting you know what he's thinking, when he's thinking it, why he wants to work with you. Remember, it was just 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was telling Brando, yeah, I'm never going to work with you, while they were just sitting there. And now
he's been very clear.
Yeah, and now he's kind of one of people's front runners to win because of the move on Kelly last week, and because he's the one who seems to have gotten credit for it. Yeah, but I can't put him higher than this. This almost feels like back in Tocantins when Brendan went home, and it was like, wow, Tyson has a great path to the end. This guy's got it made. And then he went next week. That feels like where Drew could end up here. So I worry that I hear where you're coming from, Owen, with Austin and potentially getting some votes, and maybe Drew and Emily saying we got to get rid of him sooner than later. I think right now would be too early because you just got the 5-4 advantage. But if word comes out, I think we have seen her be a little emotional here. And if she heard Austin's name coming up from Drew and Austin saying, I don't know what to do, I think D would do her, oh, hell no, we got to go, and we just got to take him out of the game. And I think that's what would happen.
Yeah. I like that theory a lot. Alexa, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I have Drew at number 7, not to jump too far ahead. I don't think he'll actually go home because it feels like, again, this group of 4 is so tight. Like they finally got this big move. I would hope they don't break up now.
Mhm.
But I think I don't know what force is stronger, like that loyalty or the big moves-itis of the new era where it's like, well, Drew just did something. Now I have to do something and cut his head off. I think I really like him. I think he's very entertaining, but he has been abundantly clear. He's like, I want soldiers and I want to be in control. And that does not work long term. So I think that cockiness is not going to be great. I think, especially after coming off this like gigantic move. So I could see people pulling a fast one over him.
Somebody did comment here, and I just want to make sure everybody who's listening knows the safety without power expired last week. So Drew really doesn't have any power right now, because somebody had asked, did that go away? It did. It expired at final 10, which they only mentioned at the beginning. I'm surprised they didn't have a confessional of Drew just saying that last week to put it in our heads.
Probably be early this week. Yeah,
they probably will. I don't even have safety without power anymore. That's going to come right away. But that's a big deal, because now Drew really does not have a way to protect himself. Who knows what's going to come up this week? Who knows if there's going to, you trip over something that's laying around your camp. It could happen. We've seen it. Literally, we've seen it happen. But I don't think Drew's going to stumble backwards into something at this point. And he has, for the first time in this game, pretty much, he has no advantage.
So I liked what y'all were saying just about the way he's playing, just to give Drew his flowers for a quick second. Like you mentioned, he does come off cocky a little bit in his confessionals, but to Phil, what you were saying, like outwardly, he's presenting as very deferential. I liked what he was doing with Katura, I think, when he was saying, like, we want to work with you. You decide who the target is. I think now that's the second time he's pulled that move where he says, like, I will vote with you. I want to work with you. You decide who it's going to be. I think it's really smart Survivor. I think everyone wants agency in the game, right? And I think he's allowing people to kind of do that. And I loved what people have been saying too about, how Tony physically shrunk himself on 40 to appear less intimidating. Drew is like 8.5 feet tall, and yet he's operating in this way where I think he's really lowering his like outward like target level. I don't think it's going to last forever, like you were saying, Alexa, but I do got to give him his props for, I think, knowing how he would be perceived and kind of countering that with the way he's behaving. I think it's been really smart.
There's something so fun about talking to us like you're the evil villain, and then talking to, and then, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I really love this, like talking to us about like your secret plans, and then to everyone else you're like goofy and affable. I think it's great. He also again directly told us that in the premiere there was
Basile,
Drew and Basile, and I think we know Basile and they all know Drew, and I think that's fun.
Definitely.
Yeah. Owen, who do you have at 7?
7, I have Katura. So now we're getting into the 3 that I think could go home this week, most likely. So, well, I guess that's the function of the game, obviously. But the ones that I like actually think are in danger. I think Katura is in a tough spot. I mean, I haven't it's hard because, as I was speaking about earlier, just like we don't know a whole lot about how she's thinking, other than that she's just tired of Bruce. And I don't know if that one-track mindset about Bruce is gonna like be the only thing we know, or like dictate all of her voting. But we saw this week she went with Bruce and voted together, so there's the possibility that they could. But I think of the 3 that are in danger between Katura, Bruce, and Kendra are my final 3. I think she's the least likely to go, just because I think she doesn't have an idol. She doesn't have a whole lot going on. She doesn't seem to have a whole lot of I put her kind of in a similar boat to Jake, where it's just kind of not a super imminent kind of threat situation.
Yeah, I don't have Katura yet. I'm going to go with Alexa on this. I'm going to put Katura in my bottom 2. I won't say where yet, but I am going to go Jake at 7. And I probably could have put Jake a little bit higher, but I just can't. I'm really struggling to imagine a world where a Reba 5 go home, and I'm counting Emily in that. I'm really struggling. So I had to put all of them ahead of Jake. I don't actually feel like Jake should be in danger this week. We've talked about him a lot. I don't think it should happen. I think that he's been, so vocal. He had one of the bigger no-nos that you're going to see after somebody gets voted out when he screamed "whoa" right in Kelly's
Not
face.
great.
So funny.
So brutal.
Funny.
She
And
was
then the immediate
unfazed.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the immediate sorry. And it was like, Kelly, if she could have taken her torch and just hit him with it, she would have. But she
Yeah.
forgot her
If
torch.
she found
so
it.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a big no-no there. Jake is not looking like a jury threat. He's looking like a frustrated player who's going to make a really good argument at Final Tribal. But we saw Romeo make a good final argument at Tribal. We saw you make a pretty good one too, Owen. Sometimes though, it just doesn't matter what your argument is because people are already coming in saying you didn't do enough during the actual game, whether through your own fault or just because of the way the cards fell. It doesn't matter. And I think that's where Drake. Yeah, sorry. I think that's where Jake is triggering right now.
I don't think the point has been made yet.
All Owen wants to do is eat. That's all. He's like, guys, I'm gonna go eat dinner. Phil, I don't want to finish this. You've ruined this podcast. Thanks a lot. But I think that Jake he's probably gonna end up in a 0-vote finalist if he makes final 3. So why would you want to vote him out? I don't know why you would want to vote him out. So when I sit here, Bruce has an idol. Jake shouldn't want to be voted out. The Reba 5 are super strong. How is it going to be anybody but Kendra or Katurah this week? Bruce would have to not play an idol, or there'd have to be some really, really, really insane development that we just have not been privy to for the previous 8 episodes. So I'm going to put Jake here. But when I'm saying like people I think are going home this week, my bottom 2 are the people I think are going home this week. I actually don't feel like my 1 through 7 are really in much danger at all. Jake, I'd give maybe a 5% chance of going home. That's pretty low because I'm going about 50 and 45% on my 8 and 9.
Wow, very close.
Yeah, and we're gonna make Owen. We're gonna make you go last on this. We always have our guests go last for the final one, just to really drive it home.
Keep it dramatic.
Yeah, keep it dramatic. You get the last word. So, Alexa, you want to go first? Sorry, I dropped a pen thing. I don't want my dog to eat it. So.
Yeah, sure. So, unfortunately, Bruce cannot save both Kendra and Katurah with one idol. Only he could, but unfortunately, that can't happen. I have Kendra at 8 and Katurah at 9. I love Kendra. I really don't want her to
so
go.
Funny.
And for what it's worth, I don't really know why someone would send her home. I think she seems very affable, and I think that like this isn't her fault, but she also lost seemingly her number 1 ally, so that I think makes her a little less intimidating. Katurah, I think on the other hand, she like quote unquote worked with that Reba group when Caleb was voted out. But then that really didn't come to fruition at all this week. Like she was really kind of pushed away. So I don't know if that is going to make her angry. I don't know if they would just prefer to have Kendra and Bruce around than her. But I think, unfortunately, this is probably the end of the road for her. And I don't want it to be, because to your point, like you said earlier, Owen, it's really unfortunate that this has been her only content. And I am pretty sure she feels the same way.
Yeah.
If I could wager a guess. I think she's been great. Like she had such an awesome premiere, and I hope she continues, but I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, Alexa, I'm flipping on you here, and I'm going to actually put Katurah at 8 and Kendra at 9. So I'm going to say Kendra's going home this week. I know. And I've been very much on team Bruce with this, Katurah versus Bruce. Yeah, I've been very much. Bruce seems.
Oh no!
Oh no! Bruce seems what?
Bruce seems we'll never know.
It's like he's
look how angry
playing the game.
There he is.
I'm back.
You froze.
Hi.
I was mad. I was literally
Bruce
screaming. I'm frozen again. So
Bruce seems what?
Bruce seems. Bruce just seems. That's
what
does.
He
seems.
What is
he's a seamstress.
Seeming.
I just think that I've always felt during this game that Katurah had a bigger problem with Bruce, and maybe there was something that Bruce did that we didn't see, or something he said, but it always felt like that. And it didn't feel like Bruce realized that there was a problem between him and Katurah until that moment on the beach when she was calling him out and saying, so what was the advantage that you got when you went over to, Shipwell Island or on the journey,
so
wherever you want to call it? But with what we've gotten from Katurah, and how this game has shaken out, I'm not worried about Katurah to win if I'm one of the 8 other people playing this game. Kendra, she might seem silly and she might seem goofy. She is really, really, really likable. And sometimes that's all it takes to win the game of Survivor. You know, especially you could get down to a final 3 of Kendra, Jake, and D, and D voted out everybody, and they're all pissed at her. Drew could be sitting there, and he voted everybody out, and they're pissed at him. And Kendra's sitting next to him. Kendra didn't have to get her hands dirty. She didn't make Kelly mad. She didn't make Katurah mad. She didn't make Caleb mad. Man, she's already got 4 votes potentially. And we're only talking a 9-person jury or an 8-person jury. So she's already forced to tie. I think that Kendra is super scary to the Reba Alliance because Kendra is also somebody that I don't know what her argument would be because so far a lot of her stuff has been very, just zany. It's just different. But if she's able to start to convince Emily or Drew, they're going to beat you. Take me. I'll be a vote for you. Oh, she could pull that off and she could sit at the final tribal and win. I don't see Katurah sitting at final tribal and winning right now. And I'm sure Katurah has a phenomenal personality. But what we have seen on this show has been, I hate Bruce, and I want you to know that. Until I know something more about her, I can't assume that she's a threat to sit at final 3 and beat people. Kendra very quietly is. So I have to put Kendra at 9 and say, if Reba's going to get their way, it's not going to be Jake. It's not going to be Bruce. Maybe they try to flush the idol. They get Bruce to play as idol, and Kendra goes home. That's a win-win, and
that's a
Reba
big win
is looking
for them.
Golden at final 8.
Yeah. Well, to close out my list, I'm on the same page as you, Phil. I have Kendra in last place, and as we've been talking, I regret having Bruce at 8. I think he should go to 7 or 6. But yeah, for a lot of the reasons you said, Kendra's edit to me, and not to read too much into the edit, but like I do pay attention to it a bit. Like you said, zany is a good word. Like we get her like doing her like her crazy cat hissing and stuff, and like all her astrology stuff, and we haven't gotten a ton of strategic content from her. She's been fantastic. I freaking love Kendra. Like I love watching her, but I just think she could be nearing the kind of end of her rope here in terms of just her position in the game. Like Drew has bamboozled her twice now, getting out Brando, and now Kelly. She's going to be pissed, and I'm excited to watch because, like, on one hand, I can say I think her story is kind of reaching its end, but we still have 60 minutes of content on Wednesday, and that's a heck of a lot that could happen in there. And she could go on the warpath and try to stir up some trouble, maybe win an immunity. Like I feel like she's got like some immunity potential as a winner of challenges. So you never know, but I think she's kind of an easy vote. The reason I had Bruce lower than y'all did, I contemplated bringing this up earlier, Alexa, when you were talking about like, he just lost his perceived number 1. He doesn't have a whole lot. Like, what do they do now? But it reminded me of when Janine lost Ellie on my season. Janine lost her number 1 ally. She had an idol, and she ups and gives it to Dwight, who then gives it to Jesse, and then everyone votes, Dwight out, then Janine out the next round. Like, Janine had nothing left. Like, poor Janine, like, you thought I was Charlie Brown. She even had that going for her before I had even thought of that out there, right? Like, she really was just getting kicked around. And that's actually, I don't know if I've told y'all this, but when I ended up capitulating and voting for her in the voting booth, I said, I'm genuinely so sorry you had to play such a fucking boring season. Like, I was so mad and
they
sad
didn't air
for
that?
Janine. No, shockingly, they did not air that. But I was so mad. It's like, this poor girl has nothing. You just took out her number 1. You just lost her idol. So to me, I see a point where they might see, like, we've got Bruce on the ropes. Yes, he has his idol, but maybe we still go after him. So I think Kendra's obviously most likely since I have her last, but that is why I had Bruce much lower than y'all. I could see them just kind of piling on and just be like, let's finish the job. We wanted to get him last week. He got immunity. But yeah, who knows what can happen, but I love these longer episodes, and that so much can happen in any given week that this podcast will be irrelevant after like 20 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
And it's nice because like a lot of names come up and it's not as obvious as like, okay, the last name mentioned before Tribal Council is the one that goes home.
I'm loving it.
It's truly incredible. I hope they do everything they can to keep this in 47 and
forever.
beyond.
Yeah.
Forever.
It's going to be huge for 46, and I'm really happy with it. And I mean, you know, I think your season was the prime example of how these episodes would have been better. But I think people even overlook how much better 44 would have been. I think 44, and this is no shade on the cast or anything, but I think 44 might be one of the more overrated seasons we've had because of how likable the Tika 3 were. They were so likable.
Electric TV.
Yeah.
Thank you first again. But yeah, it left people like Heidi and Lauren and Jamie kind of fighting for scraps in the edit.
Right.
I think is where you were going with that.
You took over for me, Owen. You knew exactly what I was going to say. I apologize for how bad my internet has been. I don't know what's going on, but
Florida,
you're 100%.
Not interesting. It was like not interesting gameplay, but interesting people. It was like one of those kind of situations.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame because Heidi winning that final fire making, I mean, we were all in the same location for that. That place went insane. And I don't think 90% of them knew who Heidi was when we walked in that room because she was barely on our screen. So imagine if you were able to hype her up and build her up, though. It's Brett versus Russell and Samoa. Who cares that Brett lost to Russell? Because we all knew Brett couldn't win. He had 12 confessionals. Who cares? But
the building would have collapsed if collectively we were told to care about Heidi.
Yeah.
And the building it was already like, I was like, oh my God, she's going to win. And like, I knew she wasn't going to win.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right? We're walking around and Owen, I don't know if you had the same experience, but you walk around and you talk to people at that event after Heidi won that and everybody's going, she's going to win the game. She's going to win the game. She's going to win the game. Everybody all of a sudden was just blinded by the fact that we hadn't seen her for the first however many episodes because we're confused by the Erica win and the Gabler win. And even the Mary Ann win to an extent, not as much, but a little
She
bit.
came on late.
She did come on late. But it was believable. Maybe Heidi could have pulled it off. Man, if we had hour-and-a-half episodes, we would have gotten so much more Heidi, so much more Lauren, so much more Jamie, so much more Danny, Franny. I mean, it would have been a much more complete feeling season. So I'm excited for 46. I'm really happy with how 45 has worked out. I'm very happy. You know what? I hate to be like this because I have a lot of friends who are writers and actors. I really I feel for them what they went through this year. But this was a perfectly timed writer's strike for Survivor because this is huge for the show. It's a huge thing.
I've said this on 5 podcasts. We will be okay without more Love Boat remakes. Like every other show, go for it. But I get what they're doing by like trying to put something on top of Survivor. But I'm no Amazing Race fan. But I feel like to just give this entire night to 2 staple shows, it has to be working.
Yeah. You don't want NCIS Iceland or whatever. Like
they're doing Australia now, right?
Australia, It's so much. It's too much. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know if y'all have discussed this on the pod before, but Jeff saying like they didn't do exactly the same mechanics for 46 because they weren't sure if they were going to have 90-minute episodes. So I'm curious to see, but I imagine that'll lead to a lot more camp life and less shenanigans. So I think it could be an even bigger win for the viewership, just having more pure Survivor rather than like the idols, the scavenger hunt for the auction money or whatever. Like there could be opportunities for more just like character building, which we've had plenty of this season. So I'm excited for even more of that.
Yeah, that's a good point because I think especially with the like, I'm curious if the auction will come back to back. Maybe it will because they didn't see this happen live.
We did Last Gasp back to back with 43 and 44, so they might do it
for
the cycle. I mean, they built the auction booth or whatever, so they might
it's already
leave it out there.
May as well use it again. And it'd be cool to see that reaction again. Like that was just such a raw reaction by all of them.
Yeah.
And we could see somebody dance like whatever Kendra's dance was because that dance was phenomenal. When she found out they were doing the auctions.
Yeah.
Were we all not Kendra in that moment? She couldn't even finish. She couldn't even finish the sentence she was reading because she was so excited. Like any one of us would. I don't know if like we all would have booty popped like her, but like we all would have wanted to. So
her and Emily throwing it back.
Emily,
oh my God,
that was
Jeff
so
was like,
funny.
"Who did I just cast?"
Who are you? That was amazing.
That was so good.
The
So
Emily
good.
one was so pure too, because like you could tell, like that's not her personality in any way, shape, or form. And for that to come out in that moment when she got that, it's like that's what when Emily's at home alone, she's not like sitting there at her computer like staring at it angry. She's actually just like dancing around the house with
eating charcuterie and
just with wine, going wild.
It reminds me of the tribal council. It was one of the ones when she was in trouble, and she was like selling herself to them. She's like, guys, I have friends. Like, I swear I'm cool. Like, that reminded me of like her being like, look, she also has she has a personality. She's not just financial analyst Emily Flippin, but in our hearts,
what a joy she's been. Yeah,
she's been great. Now, Owen, the last thing we'll ask you, we said an hour and a half. We have 5 minutes, right? The last thing we'll ask, who do you got winning this season?
Oh, who do I have winning? I think my top contenders are Emily, Drew, and Dee. This is a mix for me of where they're positioned right now. This is a little bit of like how I think the story is being told through the edit. And then just like, do I see it possibly happening? Like we've talked a lot, obviously, over the past hour and a half of like why certain people could get clipped in the near future. And I just think from a story perspective, Emily winning would just be amazing. Just like to go from this would be going home if not for Hannah quitting, to then pulling it out and getting her shit together and becoming this social threat. And I think that would be really, really great. I think Dee, to me, she stood out in the preseason as someone who had the tools. And I think she's shown to be a pretty like, I don't want to say ruthless quite yet, but like she's a pretty savvy game player, has the strategic acumen, has been able to win a challenge and probably more. And then as I was talking about Drew earlier, I think he's really done a great job of fighting the perception he thinks people will have about him. Like I said earlier, perception's reality. He knows he's going to be viewed as like the smart guy, nerd, strategist, like threatening guy. And he's putting off this air of being over trusting and open. And I think that's really lowered his threat level to people. So yeah, I think they're my contenders. I think Julie has impressed me a lot. I didn't get a whole ton from her in the preseason, but I think she's positioned herself nicely. I think she's really fighting against some of the mom stereotypes that we get on Survivor and has been proven to be like a really loyal Alliance member and knowing what's going on in the game. And I wish we've gotten more content from her. And then I think the original Bellows just have a really uphill battle. I would love to see Jake make Final Tribal and make a pitch for himself. He is the person that I see myself in on this season. Ironically, Austin and I share a lot in common, and he even DM'd me before he even went through the application process, just being hey, bro, like, I'm worried I'm never going to get on Survivor because of you, because we seem kind of similar on paper. But then he's like 3 inches taller and much more fit than I am. But I have a vested interest in him, but I just think he is going to emerge as being really threatening. So yeah, who are you? So D, it sounds like D is your winner pick, Phil. Yeah.
And I gotta do this because hold on. So you're an admissions guy at heart, and I just want to say this as a compliment here. If I was like applying to a school, I'd want you fighting for me because you just said here's 7 people and all the great things about them. But I need to know who out of those 7.
Okay, if I need one,
who's your gonna winner? Yeah,
my one, because I think it's possible, and I want this outcome. I think Emily is my winner pick here. Kelly was my winner pick. Kelly was mine. So sadly, that the now bandwagon came to a crashing halt last week. But Emily is now my new winner pick.
America's winner pick.
America's winner pick.
Literally America's winner pick.
I do think it's going to be D, and I've talked about her so much. Alexa's going to throw up. So Alexa, who do you have right now?
You're doing what you did with Gabler, where you've worn me down so much that now I'm like into it. But I can't say I can't pick D. So and it would be Emily, but you just said Emily. So I don't think Drew could win, but I would really I think he would make for a very fun winner. I think it would be nice to have I don't even want to say the V word, but like a villainous winner or someone who like goes out there and is like, I am doing the thing. I want to round up the troops, and then he wins. We normally hate people like that, and I think it's kind of fun for someone like that too. To get what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't seen a win like that in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't.
Brian Heidick is on the phone, but
40 seasons ago. My God, back when Owen and I had our whole lives ahead of us. Before we cut out here, I just want to give a quick update on something. So our fantasy game, Forrest DeGroat, you have 55, Michael Carroll 54, Kim Ferguson 53, Benny Espinal 53, and Corwin Green 51. Those are your top people. It's been a little bit since I updated that, so I want to make sure I got that in today. So there's your update for the fantasy game winner. That's getting a buff. Those are for our patrons, though. Patreon.com/Survivor Specialists. Go become patrons. Go look at what's in store for January. Kind of drew it out a little bit more since we're going through the massive change. Owen had to mention it tonight. Just remind me. But yeah,
you'll be okay, Phil. Well, if Emily wins, I am against my will staying here. So.
Yeah, just what everybody wants. Alexa to sit here next year going, shit, I should have just said no. I'm not coming back.
I'm a woman of my word.
I know. I can't lie. Love my girl Emily.
You are unlike Sammy. You do what you say you're going to do. Sammy, we know your life saving is more than $5. Come on, man. But anyway.
Yes,
Alexa,
become a patron. Phil and I are going to do our patron podcast sometime this weekend because it's Thanksgiving and I have nothing to do, even though Phil has way too much to do. Tune in Wednesday. I feel like I don't know if the Thanksgiving episode is always good. Maybe I have like the nostalgia factor because I'm always watching it when I'm home with my parents. But anyways, tune in Wednesday, 9:35, right after the episode. Owen, it was wonderful to have you on again.
Yeah.
And if you guys are going to an event in New Orleans in a few weeks, make sure to say hey to him.
December 6th, come on down. And seriously, y'all, thanks for having me on. Like whenever I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to friends. So I really appreciate it. And it's cool to come back on the show. So appreciate the plug and having me on. And thank you to the chat also for being active the whole time. So made it fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, the chat's been good.
Always a pleasure, Owen. And just because Alexa's leaving doesn't mean you're going to stop hearing from me. So
no, text me anytime.
Yeah. As Owen blocked my number, but yeah, sure. Just text me. No, it'll be fine. But all right, everybody, we will see you Wednesday night. Can't wait.
Have a good night.